Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream for Game Week 30. My name is Mo, and this is my channel FPL Inkling. And today we're going to be discussing the deadline stream, my decisions before the Game Week 30. How is everyone? What's going on? How has these 2 weeks been for you during the international break? Felt like an absolute age to get by, but we're here. It's the morning and we are ready to kick off for Game Week 30. Are your decisions locked in? Have you made your transfers? What's the news, guys? We're going to discuss it all today, but before we do start, I've almost reached 200 subscribers. If you like what you see and you haven't subscribed yet onto my channel, please subscribe. Get me to the 500 subscribers to win that PS5 by the end of the season. If you like this stream video, hit the like icon. And also hit the notification icon if you do like the content I see and you want the latest notifications of when I release my content. So let's not waste any further time and let's start off with Game Week 30 deadline stream. How has everyone been? What's been going on? Have you guys been watching the international football? It's great, wasn't it? Some really good finds, some really good moments, some upsets, some jaw-dropping moments, some really good moments. It's been all right, but I can't wait for the Premier League to get started in a couple of hours, or let's say just over an hour, when Chelsea versus West Brom will start at 12:30. So we should get the team news in about an hour or so, or just over an hour for the lunchtime kickoff. So I've got my team up on the screen. I'm going to go through, obviously I've told you guys around my team selection, what changes I made and why I made them, but I'll do them just again, just to refresh your just to refresh your memories. And if you guys haven't seen the team selection video, then we can go through that together as well. So I made 3 transfers for this game week. So I took a -8 point hit. So my first transfer was Diaz for Rudiger. To be fair, I'd been looking at Rudiger for the last couple of game weeks. His selection has gone up, so he's owned by around 5% of managers, 5.1% to be exact. His price is around 4.7 mil. Now, the reason why he's gone up in ownership and why he kind of caught my eye is Chelsea in the last, I think, 14 Premier League games have had 14 clean sheets. 14 Premier League games have had 12 clean sheets and have only conceded twice in those 14 games. Oh, if they had 14 clean sheets in a row, that would have been amazing. But yeah, I mean, Rudiger has been someone who's been consistently selected by Tuchel since he's been in charge. I think he's only been benched out of 2 of the games. I mean, the only kind of like drawback or something that's playing on my mind at the moment is the fact that there are a few cup games that are coming in between. So you've got like, the Champions League. So I think they've got a game week this game week, then they've got the Champions League, followed by another Premier League game, then the Champions League, then I think it's the FA Cup semi-final. So there's a few cup games coming as well, so there is a risk of rotation. But I think that he's probably going to be one of the first names on the team sheet anyway. The kind of risk of rotation comes around players such as Reece James, Azpilicueta, Ben Chilwell, Christensen. So these are the kind of players. But I think Rudiger, if you're looking to kind of like double up on Chelsea, I think Mendy in goal would be like a odds-on starter, but you've also got like Rudiger as well to come in and play as well. Let's go through some of his stats, to be fair. So in the last, let's say, 5 game weeks, he's not started one of the games. So he's got 6, 12, 18. So he's got 26 points in 5 games. And as you can see, in terms of clean sheets, 1, 2, 3 out of 5. So he's not done too bad, to be fair. And the only goals they've actually conceded, were I think in the games, as you can see here, they beat Liverpool 1-0. They conceded against Southampton, and Sheffield United, actually. So those are the 2 games they conceded, which I kind of assumed they would have had a clean sheet. But I think it's a good shout, bringing him in this week. And then if you look forward at the fixtures that they do have coming forward for the next 3 game weeks, they got West Brom, obviously in a couple of hours, followed by Crystal Palace, and then Brighton, Hove Albion, followed by West Ham and Fulham. So I think Rudiger's going to be a good choice for me. In terms of the reasoning of taking out Diaz I think it was more of like the rotation policy, because you got players such as Laporte, Stones, these kind of players as well. You got Nathan Ake potentially coming back from injury as well. Cancelo, you got a lot of defenders, Walker. I know they're all different positions, but you got the risk of rotation, and I think Man City again, they're going to have similar fixtures to Chelsea as what I've mentioned already. There is a risk of rotation, so would I rather go for someone who's worth around just over 6 mil to risk of rotation, or someone who's just around 4.5 mil the risk of rotation? But I think on paper Chelsea have much better friendly fixtures as well, so that's why I've chosen him. So that's my first transfer. My second transfer was Antonio for Harry Kane. Now, pretty much a straightforward decision. Give me a second. Pretty much a straightforward decision. I mean, I've been so nervous in the last couple of game weeks not having Harry Kane in my team, because every time he's on the ball, he's going to score, he's in or around that box. I am nervous because I know that if he gets something, the other players are going to kind of move up their ranking, and it's going to cause me distress as well. So I've got him back, guys. He's owned by around 46.4% of managers, 11.6 mil. Scored for England as well during midweek. This season, he's been an absolute machine. So last year, he was involved in 20 goals, 18 goals and 2 assists. But this year, he's got 17 goals and 13 assists already. This is absolutely amazing. I think his highest tally, as you can see here, is 224 points back in 2016, 2017. And I honestly believe he's going to break that record. I think he's going to go really close to 250 points. I don't think he's going to quite break the Salah record for the number of points in FPL, but he will get close to that mark, but you never know. I mean, with the fixtures that they do have coming up, sorry, I just removed that. You've got Newcastle, Manchester United the following game week, Everton, Southampton, Sheffield, Leeds. They've got some really good fixtures lined up. They've also got a double game week in game week 32. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer to bring him in. Harry Kane is always going to be in and around, and obviously with Son in the team, they work well in regards to getting the goals as well. So yeah, that was something that I had to consider, and I just thought Antonio had to go. I had to free up some funds and get Harry Kane in my squad. And the third transfer I did from my team was Gareth Bale, and I brought in Phil Foden. Now Phil Foden is kind of like a rotational player, owned by around 7.7% of managers. His price is only 6.1 mil. Now the thing I've gone for at the end of the season now is kind of more like the impact players. There is a risk of rotation. I mean, there's a choice between Phil Foden and Gundogan. Now, Gundogan's owned by around, I think, 35% of managers. His goal tallies is like 10, 12 goals this season already. Whereas Phil Foden, he's got 6 goals and 8 assists when he has played. The thing is, when he does play and he does go big, he does go big. I mean, there's no reason why I can't go back to Gundogan. But if we're going to play risk of rotation, there should be an element of differentiality as well. Now, there was a kind of like a toss-up between Phil Foden and Ollie Watkins for me to who to play. Now, Watkins has got Fulham at home. Now, I know Fulham have been really good defensively recently, but Ollie Watkins hasn't been that lucky in front of goal. However, he's always there or thereabouts, and he's got some really good service from Traore, El Ghazi, John McGinn, who's played really well over the international break for his nation. And I think, Villa, they will... I know Fulham, I think they will have some chances. So I think Ollie Watkins can get a return for me. Now, Phil Foden, they've got Leicester this week. Now, Leicester isn't the easiest team to play. Great team under Brendan Rodgers. I think Maddison is potentially on a road to recovery. I haven't got much update around Harvey Barnes, but I think he should be ready in a couple of game weeks as well. So maybe by around game week 32. But, Iheanacho, Vardy up front, it's going to be a difficult fixture away at Leicester. So I think, the King Power Stadium is going to be a tough place to go and win. City already lost earlier in the season 5-2 to Leicester, which was the third game of the, game week 3 of the FPL season, but the second game for City. So I'm not, maybe not for this week, but if I look for the week after, you've got Leeds and Aston Villa, there's no reason why I can't consider bringing him in then. But if I do see Gundogan play a bit better, or, rack up a few more points, or someone like Jota who does really well with the fixtures he's coming up, I might make a few more transfers and get him in. But Phil Foden for now, I'd say at least for the next couple of game weeks, is solidly my team to come in and get me some differential points. So those were the 3 transfers, guys, that I made for this week for game week 30, and this is what my squad looks like. So I'm playing a 3-4-3 formation with Martinez in goal, Konsa, Rudiger and Reguilon in defence. Now, Reguilon's injury update, he was around 50% match fitness yesterday. In the press conference today from Mourinho was like, yeah, he's ready. So I'm pretty hopeful he should be in the squad to start. Now, the Son was the biggest news. Now, Son was around 50% match fitness as well with a hamstring injury. Today, Mourinho in the press conference that was in, did say, yep, he'll be in the match day squad. That's good news. Now, whether he starts the game or not, I'm not too sure. But the fact that he's in the match day squad for me is a kind of like big news of comfort. Let's have a look at some of the information. He's owned by around 42% of managers. How many people have transferred him out this week? So, wow. 665,000 managers have taken him out. So his ownership's gone from around 4.5 mil to around 3.66 mil. That's huge. Now, can you imagine if he plays and he starts and he gets a few returns, and they are playing Newcastle, so there's no disrespect to them at all, but Son, could have a field day. So that 42% automatically for next week may become around 50% ownership again. Maybe not for the Man United game, but then they've got Everton and Southampton in a double game week, so maybe Son's ownership may go up to around 55-60% by game week 32. So that's good news for me. Obviously, we've got De Bruyne for Leicester. Now, yes, he's been benched for one game previously, as you guys see, against Fulham, but is he going to be a regular drop for Pep? I don't think so. I think people are overthinking this. But hey, I could be wrong. I don't know how Pep thinks or what his thought process is. Is he actually thinking that he's won the league already? So it'll be interesting to see what he does with De Bruyne, but I don't see a reason why he can't play. Probably the most, what's the right word to say it? Well, it's not going to be from the last game, but I think he's probably the most favourite in terms of being played for Man City week in, week out. So I don't think we should give up on him just yet. So KDB might be a good shout as well. And then I got Fernandes as my captain this week. Now, a lot of people are going Kane. Now, for me, Fernandes will be my choice of captaincy against Brighton and Hove Albion at home. Then I've got Mahrez. Now, if he plays, he's going to be a big hitter for me. 7.5% ownership, 8.1 mil. And he has, when he does go big, as you can see, he gets double-digit scores. So I'm pretty happy with that. Bamford against Sheffield United. So I think a lot of managers got rid of him as well. So yeah, he's gone under 50% ownership. So let's have a look. Yeah, I think this is probably to do with the next 3 game weeks he's got coming up, which I can go through with you guys. Around nearly 200,000 managers have kind of sold Bamford. Maybe it could be with the next 3 fixtures, but I think he will come good, and I'm not getting rid of him anytime soon. That's why I decided to get rid of Antonio instead. And then Ollie Watkins makes my final player for this squad. Now let's say if I did swap out Ollie Watkins, now that's what my team could look like. Oh, what looks better? So if I look at that, if that was any other team but Leicester, let's say that was someone like a Southampton or a Burnley, or no disrespect to these squads I'm looking at in terms of return, or someone like a Wolves potentially, that's definitely would have been something I'd considered. But Watkins, if he was playing another team, like someone more. So let's see, let's have it go back to the original squad. There we are. So I think I'm going to leave it as Fulham for now, for Watkins versus Fulham for now, and we'll take it forward from there. So I'm going to take some questions as well whilst we're going through this. I've had a lot of questions you guys have sent through during this week, or actually 2 weeks I should say. So I've got those questions ready and to answer as well. So let's go through some questions. Any news on Son? So I've just discussed Son. So today in the press conference, Mourinho was asked, will Son be in the matchday squad, or will he be fit? And the response was, yes, he'll be in the matchday squad. Now, he didn't specify whether he was going to be in the playing 11, or was he going to be in the kind of 20-man squad that they choose nowadays. Will he make a sub appearance? It's a bit of a weird one because Tottenham are out of Europa League now. They've got the league to focus on to get the top 4. Do they want to lose further ground? So will he start the game, put him on the bench, see how the game goes? if they're winning, kind of not play him. If they do kind of like not score and they need someone to come on with kind of like a bit more aggression and to change the game, I'm not too sure. But Son is one of those players that, he recovers quickly, as Mourinho said. He's a workhorse. He wants to play every minute and he wants to get out there. So for me personally, I didn't get rid of him. I stuck with him. I think he's an absolute gem of an asset for FPL managers. And I think if you have got rid of him too soon, it might be worth considering bringing him back because he does have a double game week coming up. So yeah, I mean, for me, the news for me is I think he will start. But again, he's definitely going to be in the matchday squad for Spurs. Next question is, would you bring in Son for Bale? I mean, I got rid of Bale, not for Son because I never took Son out. But if I had a choice between Son and Bale, he's in my squad already. I'd definitely choose Son. And that's a very simple reason. I think he's just got so much more return potential. And in terms of minutes, he plays far more. He's got 179 points already this season. He's one of the top-rated players in terms of returns. And let's go through his returns generally. So 2,354 minutes, 13 goals and 9 assists. The one thing I do like about Son is he's very selfless. He will obviously always think of the best of the team rather than himself. So he'll always look to get the assists in as well. Like for me, that so easily could have been 17-5 in terms of if he was greedy and always going for goal himself. But Son kind of adds another dimension to the whole Spurs setup. He allows them to kind of break quickly, set up that kind of Mourinho kind of like, part the bus mentality, win the ball back from the opposition when they've kind of committed forward, and then really kind of like move it forward and kind of push Spurs to another level in terms of speed, aggression, kind of like physical aspect. You got like someone like Harry Kane who's going to be kind of deep, setting up Son to go for a quick ball run. You've got Gareth Bale on the other side. You've got Lucas Moura. You've got Eric Lamela. There's so much options that Spurs do have. It's just about it clicking, and I think Son is kind of like the glue of this whole kind of attacking pack. So, Bale on his day, of course, he can get the returns. He's shown that already. But in terms of Son and Kane, I've seen far more of Son this season. And overall, over the last couple of years, I've seen far more from Son. And, with the fact that, Gareth Bale is now kind of out, kind of made his intentions clear in the open that he doesn't want to stay at Spurs and he will be wanting to go back to Real Madrid, his parent club where he's coming from a loan. So it might kind of like defer Mourinho from picking him anyway. Or do they want to make the most of him in terms of how long they have him? But out of Son and Bale, for me, it has to be Son. Even though he had the kind of like injury flag up against him for this week, I would still think that, whether he was injured or not, I definitely would have kept him. And out of the two, again, I have chosen Son for this week. So that's my choice, guys. Let me know what you guys think. The next question I had was, sorry, I'm looking at if I do look to the left, I'm looking at my other screen where the questions are. So should I remove Triple Villa and Leeds after? So from what I can see, you guys have let me just go back. So yeah, so 6 players from Leeds and Aston Villa. Now, sorry, the reason I was saying I was going to go back, I was just having a look through at the fixtures. Yeah, so the reason why people have stacked up on Leeds and Aston Villa players is pretty simple. It's the double game weeks and the blank game week we had in game week 29. Now, if you do have these 6 players and you're like overloaded with these team players, this is when I did the kind of like wildcard videos for game week 30 and 31. So if you've got a team which is kind of overshadowed or kind of like overly picked from these 2 teams, this is the best week to maximise your return because I believe they have like the best fixtures. If you look at them on my screen, so you can see in terms of Aston Villa, they've got Fulham at home. Now for me, there's no reason why you can't get good returns from your 3 Aston Villa players. But also, if you look at Bamford. If you look at Leeds, they got Bamford, Rafinha, Harrison, Alioski, Dallas. They got all these players who are going to be playing against Sheffield United. Now, for me, they're by far the weakest team in the Premier League, and it's any team who plays them in a fantasy Premier League game week. They have 3 players. You don't need to sub them out that week. Let them play. give them the best chance to get a good return for you, and then you can sell them and move on. So for me, I think that's the best move. If you are overstacked on these players and you want to like play a wild card or get rid of them, I mean, I wouldn't say make 6 transfers in one go, but that is your choice. That's something that I would do because I'm someone who likes to make, I'm willing to take a hit. I'm willing to, be brave and take a hit and take the points and get those team players in nice and early to maximise A, their returns, and B, before any price rises, and you can miss out on a really good opportunity. So for me, if you've got the 6 players in, play them for this week and then move on and remove them out for game week 31. Let's get some water. The next question. Will there be any better weeks to wildcard than these 2 weeks? I think there will be. You've got a double game week for Spurs and game week 32. You've also got there are kind of rumours going on at the moment that maybe game week 36 or 37 may be rescheduled into a double game week. So we're not too sure yet. So if you don't want to play a wild card just yet and you set your team up perfectly and you want to let it run for a bit, there might be better game weeks to come along for you to kind of play this wild card. So yeah, I think there might be a game week 36 double game week or a game week 37 double game week as well. So maybe around then it might be a good chance, but some people say that might be far too late. But if you look at it from the other hand, it might not be, because that might be the final push you need to kind of win your league or kind of solidify your place in your leagues or kind of like the overall rank as well. So yeah, so there will be plenty of opportunity, guys, for you guys to look forward to make these wildcard moves as well. I've made mine already, so there's no need for me to look forward to that. Is Kevin De Bruyne at risk for being rotated for the Leicester game? Well, we've discussed this already. For me, I don't think he'll be rested. I don't think he'll be rotated. Yes, he was in the last game against Fulham, but I think kind of, by then Pep wanted to kind of give the players a rest because they had played new back-to-back games week in, week out, different competitions such as Champions League, the League Cup, the FA Cup. So Kevin De Bruyne is literally coming back from injury as well, so maybe he wanted to manage his workload. He's also gone on the international break and he's played really well. Got a few returns in terms of his international duty, but that's what Belgium are all about. They're a class team and they're number one for a reason. And Kevin De Bruyne, for me, is one of the main reasons, and he's the club captain as well. So I don't see why he would be rested against Leicester. It's a game where I think Pep will take great pride. He wants to win. He wants to solidify his position at the top. He just doesn't want to win the league with Pep. The thing I like about Pep is he always goes down to, he wants to fight through the last minute of the season. He doesn't just want to win the league. He wants to win it by a long margin. And this is what's been one of his biggest traits, and whether he's been at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or Manchester City. He will play to the final whistle, to the final minute. And this is what kind of can be frustrating, but also rewarding as well. If you do have patience in the Man City players, they will come good. So De Bruyne, for me, I wouldn't get rid of him. He's got some good fixtures coming up. Yep. If you look at his blank game weeks, they do have a couple of blank game weeks coming up as well. In 33, which is a League Cup final. But looking at all those opposition on there, you would not be surprised if they won every single game. And that's what makes Man City great. So for me, no, I'm going to keep Kevin De Bruyne in. Whether he is rotated or not, entirely Pep's choice, but that's part of the game. You live by the sword, and quite frankly, you're going to die by the sword as well with those decisions. But I think De Bruyne, if you look at kind of like the Manchester City team setup, he's kind of be the first name on the game sheet for Man City. Is it time to triple up on Liverpool? Well, I don't know. What do you think, guys? Let's have a look at Liverpool's fixtures. So let's get them up. I mean, I started to see a bit more urgency from them around it. So I've got Salah on screen here. So you see a lot of grey, a lot of green, and just one red, which is the Manchester United game in game week 34. So you've got Arsenal, Aston Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, followed by Manchester United, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley and Crystal Palace. Now Liverpool do have Champions League. They're not in the FA Cup anymore, and they're not in the League Cup final either. So they've only got like the Champions League to focus on. And the thing I like about Klopp is the lack of rotation unless there's injury. But players like Trent, you've got, yes, he was rotated a couple of weeks ago, but I think that was just to give him some confidence or, give him some time to kind of have away from the scene. You've got Salah who play week in, week out. You've got Mane and you've got Robertson. You've got Diego Jota as well. So looking at his fixtures, I think, yeah, it might be a good time to bring in Salah. He has gone down to around 29% of ownership. And Liverpool do have some really good games coming up. So I would say definitely consider bringing in some Liverpool assets because, in some of those game weeks you can see is, when they turn it on, they're a phenomenal team to watch, by the way. Yep, they've had a blip this season. Yep, they haven't been great at home. But it's been an odd season, guys. So we can't give really too much. I was going to say the word is, can't slaughter them too much, but from a stature of Liverpool, from the heights they've set in the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons, they won the league last season by country mile comfortably, but they've not been the same team ever since they come back from the pandemic break. The kind of like original first break that we had for football. They haven't been the same team, so I'm kind of thinking, did they lose their mojo? Did they lose their kind of like fluency that they had? So it's time to really think, where does Liverpool go from here? They're not going to win the league this season, or not, of course. Will they qualify for the top 4? So they have to play week in, week out their strongest squad. And against Arsenal this week, it's going to be a cracking game, by the way, because, I've been critical of Arteta, I've been critical of Arsenal, but I've backed Arteta. I think he's got a real good project going on there. I think Arsenal need to back him. They need to back him for at least 2 or 3 more years. It's a bit like Ollie. I mean, I had my doubts on Ollie. I've given my views on him. I still don't think he should be the United manager, but I backed him all the way. Look, if you don't give anyone a chance, they won't develop as a person. But I still believe, if by the end of, I'll give him another year. If Ollie doesn't win anything else for United, I think it's the end of the road. I don't think we need to give him an extension of a contract. He's had his period. He won. Whatever he wins by that time, we'll judge it on that. Yes, there's been progress year in, year out, but at the end of the day, it's the trophies in the cabinet that matter. So for me, something like a League Cup, FA Cup, we lost managers like Van Gaal for winning the FA Cup, being sacked on the day. So I think we've probably been a bit too gracious or too nice to Ollie in terms of expectations. But hey, if he continues year on year to make the team better, he gets some trophies, and I'll back him all the way. That's the United way. But there comes a way, if you don't perform in any job, let alone football management, there comes a point where they need to review your progress or your performance. Not the teams, but you as a manager. Have you come a long way so you can take it from there? But in terms of Arsenal, Arteta needs to be backed. Give him 3 years or 4 years. We're going to let him run his contract down like United have given Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, see where he finishes up. Because, yes, they were, disastrous, or, they had a real bad patch until November. But since then, people are having mockery around, them getting relegated, playing in the Championship. Will they be going to clubs like, let's say clubs in the Championship like Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, all these kind of clubs that are down there in the Championship, Birmingham City. Will they be going there to play on a Tuesday night? But no, jokes apart, but Arsenal, it's not going to be an easy game for Liverpool. So let's see what they can come through in terms of that. But Liverpool, for me, I reckon this game will kind of define, after this break, will define how the season's going to go at the end. If they play well and they give Arsenal a good game, I think they're going to have a good, strong finish. And look out for the other teams, Chelsea, around the top 4 spot to see who can get in there. Spurs, so Liverpool are going to be a good team to watch out for. So I might triple up on Liverpool. Let's see how they go tomorrow. It could be I take out De Bruyne, bring in Salah, bring in Jota for Foden, or it could be for Mahrez. It depends. It depends what I want. I could take out Watkins and kind of upgrade Foden to Jota. It's yet to be seen what I would potentially do, but it'd be worth watching what Liverpool bring to the party. So maybe tripling up. Maybe not just yet. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe Trent Alexander might be a good shout defensively after seeing those fixtures. It'd be worth seeing what they can kind of bring to the table as a team. The next question, should I captain Rafinha for this game week? Leeds, they're playing Sheffield United. Do you want to go for that differential option? Why not? Rafinha is always there or thereabouts. He takes a few set pieces. He kind of like pulls the strings, kind of makes Leeds kind of play. He's not going to be the top captain choice. He wasn't in my top 5 picks either. I'd consider Bamford, But if you want to go for Rafinha, I can completely understand. But for me, if you're going to choose someone from Leeds who are playing Sheffield United, I'd definitely consider Bamford, then Rafinha, and then Harrison or Dallas. But again, even me considering Bamford would be a bold step. But Rafinha, if that's what you feel and you got a good gut feeling, go ahead for it. Why not? Should I bench Ollie Watkins or Gundogan? Well, I'm playing Watkins, and let's say that if I had Gundogan rather than Watkins, I would have played Watkins for this game week, and I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. A, Gundogan's at risk of rotation anyway, and even if he doesn't play, he'll probably come on for about half an hour or so. So there's a risk he might only play half an hour, get a minute, or if he gets an assist or a goal, probably maximum returns probably going to be about 5-6 points. Ollie Watkins, I reckon, unless God forbid there's an injury to him, he will start this weekend and he will play against Fulham. And I think there's a good chance he could get a return in terms of a goal, even a man of the match performance. So for me, I would consider bringing in Ollie Watkins rather than Gundogan because he has played 3 games for Germany, which are a lot of games for international accumulated with the games he's played for Man City. So I think Pep might consider benching him, which kind of makes me. It's kind of making me think now, should I put Foden in? Who for? But either way, look, if Son doesn't play or Mahrez doesn't play, he's still got Foden on the bench and Alioski to come in. But for me, I'd play Ollie Watkins. That's why I've got him in the team because I think it's just far too good of a game for me not to choose him. Probably, I wouldn't say captain. That's the next question. I wouldn't captain him. I know it's against Fulham, but I think there's better options out there for captaincy. But if that's something you would like to do and you want it to be a differential option, please do go ahead and select him. Next question is why I haven't captained Kane. It's just personal preference, mate. Nothing personal. I mean, Newcastle, great fixture for Harry Kane. But I believe, Fernandes has been good for me this season as well. Let's see what it looks like if I do captain. What the team looks like if I do captain Kane. Oh, the temptation. Oh, there's temptation. Nah, I'll go back to Fernandes. Oh, I'm going to save that as well, just to make sure he just stay as captain. Yeah, so the reason I picked Fernandes is, look, it's a toss-up of a coin, I mean, I don't really mind if Fernandes doesn't play and Kane becomes captain, I'll still be satisfied. That's why he is my vice-captain. If I didn't have Fernandes this week or Fernandes was playing any other opposition, so, if he was playing like a top 4 or a top 8 players team, then Kane would have been my captaincy choice for that. So that's the only reason. I don't see a reason why not, but I'll have him in my team, then not have him, not at all. So that's why I've got Kane in as vice captain only for this week. Rudiger or Tini for the rest of the season. Now I've gone through Chelsea fixtures. The only thing with Rudiger is I'm thinking is when Thiago Silva comes back, who will he play for? But let's have a look at Arsenal's fixtures. So let's get Tierney up. So he has Liverpool, Sheffield United, Fulham, Everton, Newcastle. There's quite a few greens, a few reds. I mean, Tierney's done well for his national squad of Scotland as well over the international game week. But if I had to choose between the two personally, without being biased, I'd pick Rudiger. I just think that the fixtures are more friendly. I think Chelsea defensively are a more solid unit. I mean, there might be more attacking returns from Tierney himself, but if you look at it even then, he's only got 3 assists and 1 goal this season. I mean, for a defender, that's pretty decent, considering how much of the season he has missed and the number of minutes he's played. But for me, the more kind of concerning thing is the kind of like clean sheets aspect for Arsenal coming through the fixtures that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. I mean, Sheffield United, Fulham should be okay, but then they've got Everton, followed by Chelsea as well. So, again, it's a toss of the coin, but I personally would go Rudiger for the rest of the season. Personally, for me. And right, let's have a look at the next question. Best differential from Arsenal to the end of the season. Oh, we've got to go back to Arsenal. So Arsenal have been a on and off team this season. Let's have a look at their players that they do have differential wise. I mean, Odegaard 6 mil. Are there better 6 mil options out there? You got Foden for this pretty much similar price, but yeah, I think Foden would be a better option from there. Right, for me, it's going to be Saka, guys. Now, I know he's injured, hamstring injury, probably 75% chance of playing, but for the price he's got, 5.3 mil, 96 points and 5 goals and 4 assists. Now, for me, he's been one of the players for Arsenal this season. When Arsenal wasn't playing well and they didn't have those kind of like big guns or kind of like the people in the dressing room to kind of lift the team, he actually picked up the spirits. I'll give him that. I really liked him. I brought him in for a game week or two, but then he picked up an injury and I ended up taking him out. But for me, Saka, after having a look at the Arsenal players, I think he'll be the best differential option to bring in. So it's entirely your choice if you do decide to bring him in or not. But Saka, for me, closely followed by Odegaard in second position. The next question we've got is Leicester, will they finish in the top 4? You'll be doomed if you bet against it, and you'll be brave not to. The key difference between Leicester this season and last season is the fact that after Christmas, they've kind of still remained consistent. Last year there was thoughts of them competing for the title, being part of the top 3. But then after kind of Christmas, they kind of fell away with Jamie Vardy and his form. This season, you've got players like Harvey Barnes, Fofana, you've got Tielemans, Barnes, Maddison, Iheanacho. You've got these really good players that have really lifted their game, and Brendan Rodgers has done a fabulous job with Leicester. Now, if there was any other game week for Leicester rather than Man City, I think I would have brought in Iheanacho. The form he's in, I think he's got 7 goals in 3 games for Leicester in all competitions. It's phenomenal, and he's got some really good returns in terms of assists as well. Maybe he's got a point to prove against Man City. You'll be brave to bring him in, and even more braver to potentially captain him. So I think Leicester have got some really good guns. Maddison wants to make a claim for his England spot. Jamie Vardy, he hasn't been great since January, but he got 3 assists against Sheffield, and I took him out of my team anyway because I think I backed him long enough. But for me, Leicester, there's no reason why they can't finish in the top 4. For me, if you were to ask me right now in Game Week 30 to choose my top 4, I think number 1 will be Manchester City. Number 2, Manchester United. Number 3, Chelsea. And number 4, Leicester. Now, this isn't the order, but I think these 4, based on what I've seen so far, present form, league positionings, these will be the top 4. So I think Leicester will finish in the top 4. And if they do, that's a great success story for Brendan Rodgers. Will he be hot property for any other big clubs out there who want to sign him, like Arsenal, Manchester United? Why not? We'll have to wait and see. Cresswell or Target for Game Week 30? So let's have a look. Cresswell or Target? Target, Aston Villa have got Fulham. West Ham have got Wolves away. So I personally have Cresswell. He's got the highest returning defender this season in terms of returns. And, Target's not to be been too bad either. But if you look at the fixture swings for Aston Villa, they have a lot more solid fixtures coming up. So if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely, in my opinion, based on the fixtures that the two teams have coming up as well, I would choose Aaron Cresswell just on the returns of the goal, and I think they'll get more clean sheets before the end of the season. So, the next question, Mahrez or Havertz? Well, I'm saying Mahrez, I've already got him on my team. Havertz hasn't really hit it this season, brought in for about, I think it was around 80 odd million pounds. Mahrez, I've already gone through his stats with us, but 9 goals, 6 assists, 129 points. So far the season's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so he has 5 game weeks where he's got over double-digit scores. In terms of Havertz, let's have a look. Chelsea. Havertz, 8.2 mil, 3% ownership, only 58 points. 1160 minutes, 5 assists and 1 goal. For me, you know, even if I look at his last 5 games, I mean, he's missed a lot through injury. Yeah, it's just, there's not much for me to buy off. When was the last time? He's played 290 minutes in the last 2 games, but before that, when was the last time he played 90 minutes? You know, he's played 1, 2... Yeah, it's not played much minutes for me this season. So if I had to choose between the two, maybe next season I'd definitely probably look into bringing in Kai Havertz. But this season so far, based on what I've seen and the scores, and you know, in terms of generally just form in the Premier League, I'll have to choose Mahrez alone based on the information I can see here. Bring in Alonso and bench Cresswell. So this week, Alonso's been quite popular actually between a lot of managers this week. There's been a lot of talk of him coming in, playing. You know, Tuchel has really backed him. So let's have a look at some underlying background stats for him. Alonso worth 5.7 mil, 2.7% ownership, 39 points this season. He's got 1 goal, no assists. He played full 90 minutes against Everton. He didn't play a single minute against Leeds. See how many people have brought him in. So 228,000 managers have brought him in this week. So they might clearly see something in him that I haven't. I've never doubted him. A couple of seasons ago, he was like probably the, you know, on par the best wing back in the league, especially 2016-17 season where he got, you know, 6 goals and 5 assists. But this season he's really struggled to get going. Will he get like a consistent run in the team? You know, you've got Ben Chilwell as well, Aspilicueta as well, Reece James, the wing backs who are kind of like competing for the same positions. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I personally would choose Cresswell. But if it's just for this game week and you got both of those players, then yeah, put Alonso in. I mean, if he plays, great. If he doesn't, then you can at least bring Cresswell on. But if I had to choose between one or the two, I would go Cresswell this season based on what I've seen so far. So I'll leave it on this page. I think I'm getting a lot of questions around teams and selections right now. Thoughts on Werner to be brought in for this week? So we're on Chelsea. Anyway, good job I didn't change. Timo Werner. Now, he missed an absolute shocker versus... well, for his national squad for Germany this week as well. So it's kind of like he's taken his form into the international arena as well. 11% managers own him, just over 9 mil in price. He's got 8 assists and 5 goals this season. Only played 21 minutes in the last game. And his last kind of return came in game week 24 against Newcastle, which was 1 goal. So, I mean, they've got friendly fixtures coming up. Do you want to be brave and bring in like him as a striker? I mean, he's only got 11% ownership. Why not? For the price, you know, thereabouts. You got Firmino around the similar price of him as a striker this season. So if you want to back him with the games coming up, it's your choice. But if I had £9 million in budget, I definitely would consider bringing in alternative options. Even someone like a Calvert-Lewin, just over around the 7 mil mark, to save 2 mil and kind of like invest that in other parts of the team. So maybe kind of like upgrading like a 5 mil midfielder to Mason Mount, who's just around 7 mil. Also, so for me, Timo Werner, probably not after what I've seen in the international break. But again, it's your choice. See how it goes from there. If you want to bring him in and he does well, hats off, good decision. But for me, I would, at the moment, I'd stay away from him if I was you. I'm doing well with the water, guys. I'm doing well. Almost done. The aim was to finish it. I think I'm pretty close now, guys. Right, next question. Are there any more double game weeks? So yes, we discussed this question a short while ago. So in terms of the double game week, for me, thinking right now, so 32 is Spurs and Southampton. So if you've got players from those teams, feel free to kind of like double or triple up on them. But I think there'll be some more double game weeks, probably potentially around 36, 37. I'm not too sure yet. There haven't been any announcements. There might be double game weeks in 32 with like some other teams as well because of fixture congestion. So not to worry, there have been some fixtures that have been kind of postponed or rescheduled. But I think double game week will be 36, 37. No confirmation just yet, so that might take effect for the Premier League then. The next question. Now that Son is back, is Kane the best captaincy choice? Ooh, now that is a very good question. Now, I mean, with Son, it adds another dimension to Kane and completely verifies my point. The thing that frustrates me with Spurs, it's more of the Mourinho factor. Now, with Mourinho, there's always been a case where he, let's say, he kind of starts the game off more conservatively, kind of then takes the 1-0 lead, parks the bus. Is that the Tottenham way? Is that what Tottenham are looking to do? I'm not too sure, really. So yeah, I mean, I understand why people are captaining Kane, and I would have captained him in any other game week if United weren't playing Brighton. To be fair, Brighton have been a good team. They might do one over United. United haven't been great at home this season, but I think there's a bit more consistency now with Pogba coming back in after injury with a point to prove. I mean, if he is looking to move away as well, so that's my rationale behind that. But I think, Kane does become a lot more deadlier with Son in the team, and even if they have Bale in the squad, it makes it even more deadly. But the frustration is, again, when Tottenham go big, they'll go big. They'll score 4 against Crystal Palace. They'll score 4 on another given day against a team. But, when they don't go big, they squander leads and they could lose very easily. They can lose control. Where Eric Dyer at the start of the season was nailed on to play pretty much every single game. But now if you look at him, he's on the bench. He's barely going to get a minute. So for me, Kane does become more deadlier with Son in. Now again, the doubt is with Son start this game week or not. I'm not too sure. He's definitely going to be in the team sheet, but is he going to be in the starting 11? It's going to be a question to answer. Is Kane going to have fatigue from the international fixtures? He played every minute pretty much. So fatigue might play a factor. There's been a lot of games, he has come back from an injury or a couple of injuries previously as well. So Kane, it's going to be a risk, but I think it becomes more deadly definitely with Son coming back into the squad. Shaw or Rudiger for John Stones? Well, if I had this... Luke Shaw. I mean, is there a possibility for you to keep John Stones? I'm sorry, keep Shaw and Rudiger in your squad at the same time? Because it's hard to choose between the two. I mean, if I had the budget, I'd definitely bring in Luke Shaw. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this season. Maybe United's player of the season. Personally, with the kind of game he's risen since Alex Telles has arrived to Manchester United. So that will be interesting for us to see from there. Personally, if I had to choose between those two to replace John Stones, I mean, Luke Shaw is kind of like for like because in terms of the budget, it's around the same price, whereas Rudiger, you kind of spare up around $500,000 more. So do you need that $500,000 more? I think Rudiger has some more friendlier fixtures than United coming up. Yeah, I think... Yeah, I mean, I'd say Manchester United, Luke Shaw. Less risk of rotation, more kind of potential attacking returns. Clean sheets have not been too bad either for United. Barring that Liverpool game, I don't really see any too much more concerns for United. So let's see fixtures-wise. Yeah, I mean, all the way till kind of like Spurs, Liverpool, yeah. Those two really kind of would make me think no. But I'd stick with Luke Shaw for me if I was to choose between him or Rudiger to replace John Stones in your squad. Alonso or Azpilicueta? I mean, who to choose out of the two? Both are great players. Azpilicueta is more kind of like, he's kind of... when he plays, he kind of makes Chelsea look solid. Not to say Alonso doesn't. Alonso's had some really good games for you, Chelsea, and he's got some really good returns, scored some really good goals against Spurs as well previously. But I think, we can't forget the services that Azpilicueta has given Chelsea. And I think it's quite a shame that, he's not in the starting lineup already, or this season, because he's given a lot to Chelsea, been captain as well for their squad. But out of the two, if I had to choose now, I'll take Azpilicueta, because I just showed you guys Alonso's stats for the season, and I'm not too impressed or something to get excited about. So out of the two, I would say potentially Azpilicueta. But if you're going to choose any Chelsea defender, guys, at the moment for me, it's definitely going to be Rudiger, because he's like near enough $1 million cheaper than any other kind of like first team choice defender. Will Kane have fatigue after so many games and the international games? I've already discussed this, guys. I have a feeling he's going to be fatigued, but it's never affected him previously from playing well for Spurs. If it does affect his game, it's expected for me in terms of, I can understand. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised, because this guy's one of the best strikers to embrace the Premier League. I think he's probably the best candidate if he stays in the Premier League, even if he does leave Spurs. I hope he stays in the league, because he's probably the best goal scorer I've seen that can challenge Shearer for his overall 260 goals. I think he's crossed the 150 goal mark, or he's near about there. So he's not too far away. 100 goals, a lot of goals in Premier League, but he's on his way to potentially achieving this great feat. So for me, I won't be surprised if he is fatigued, but I won't be surprised if he does go ahead and have a great game against Newcastle and get some good returns, because it is looking like to be his best season for FPL points return wise ever. And that's credit to Mourinho as well. You got to give Jose some credit, because he's given him a role now, which was first it was a predominantly just bagging goals, but he's come along this season, and he's really added to his game in terms of the assists he's given. So let's see his previous 9 seasons in the Premier League. His maximum goals assists were 7, and 29 goals in 2016. Whereas he's got 13 already. He's doubled his assists already. So he's coming into a new role. He's coming a bit more deeper. His goals have slightly gone lower than previous years, but that's Harry Kane for you. He's a team player. He'll play for the team. He never argues or never moans about fatigue or games, and I think that's what makes him special for me, is the way he kind of carries himself on and off the pitch. He's a great ambassador for the game. I think if you can get rid of his gameplay challenge, where he kind of backs into a defender and makes them kind of topple over him and wins a free kick, I think that's a bit dangerous. He could aggravate an injury for an opposition player. But I think if he can improve that will make me less. I'll take that kind of little minimal kind of frustration that I have for him away from me. Next question: Mount or Havertz from Chelsea? Now, for me, I would say I've gone through Havertz with you guys. I've discussed Mount in my top 5 picks and other videos that I've done previously for FPL. I think Mount's like a really he's a gem that's he's a hidden gem for me. I want to say he's hidden in the sense that people haven't seen him. I just don't think he gets appreciated. He's got some really good returns for 7 mil. I think he's one of the best midfielders out there. But if I had another mil to spare in my budget, I could consider bringing Mount in. So I was thinking maybe Maris to Mount, which is a mil free. Upgrade Foden to Maddison, which is another. Then I could basically have a midfield of Son, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Maddison, and Mount. Well, that would be a midfield and a half. So I think Havertz hasn't really hit the heights that was expected from him when he came in. He's had COVID, he's had other injuries, fatigue. It's not been that great in terms of health wise for this year. So it'll be interesting to see how he does next season, or how he finishes this season. But if you're going to ask me based on what I've seen so far from Mount and Havertz, I would say definitely Mason Mount, because Mason Mount, he brings a lot to the game. He's done really well for England as well, and I think he's warranted his squad for the England squad. I think he's probably going to be one of the first names that Gareth Southgate selects for the Euro squad, and definitely going to be in and around the England setup in terms of match day first squads as well. He brings a lot in terms of his passion for the game, his understanding of the game, the passing, the goal scoring, the set pieces, everything. He's kind of like the whole package. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's not going to probably get to the goal scoring of Frank Lampard, ability, but I think he's going to be a servant for Chelsea for a long, long time. In case anyone else comes in and kind of bids for him, I don't see him really going anywhere. So for me, Mount is going to be someone crucial. And with the fixtures that we've discussed already for Chelsea, for at least the next 3 to 4 game weeks, I reckon Mount's going to have a good chance of getting a good return for them. And even this week, if you've got him in already, or you're looking to bring him in, you've got West Brom at home, so maybe you could get a few goal returns this week. That's the water finish, guys. Next one, would you play Jota or Foden? Well, I've got Foden in my squad. We've gone through the Liverpool fixtures. Let's have a look at the Man City fixtures. Now, again, with certainty in terms of who's going to play more minutes, it's probably going to be Jota. But, if you look at the fixtures here as well, Leicester, Leeds, Aston Villa, blank game week 33 as they're going to be playing the final for the League Cup. And they've got Crystal Palace. So, I think of Phil Foden is, when he does play, I think Guardiola did the best thing with Foden in the sense that, he's trusted him, he's developed him. He hasn't let him go out on loan, which there was rumours for to let him go previously. Foden has really showed his kind of like maturity at the level, and he's spending time with, great footballers such as De Bruyne, Aguero, Edison, Kyle Walker, these real, club greats or legends in their own respects. So he's getting to learn a lot from Pep as well, and he's kind of learning his own role, his own team. I think next season will be the season where he kind of fully gets his chance, because today in the press conference for Man City, Pep Guardiola did say, they're not looking at replacing Aguero as a striker. Now, that could be a big hint. Are they actually looking to develop Foden? Potentially, like a number 9, number 10 role? Probably not. Or maybe like the wing role and kind of like bringing De Bruyne as a striker up front, or kind of like the number 9 role. I'm not too sure. It'd be interesting to see. Mahrez potentially, I just don't know what Pep will do. But I think with that statement today, does that rule out potential Haaland? Is he not coming in? Don't know. It's going to be an interesting one for us to kind of look forward to. But I think, Phil Foden's had a good season. He's done well in the games that he has been brought in. Yes, he hasn't played week in, week out for minute-wise, but, the impact that he does have on the game and Man City when he does play, yeah, Foden has done well. But Jota, he's been a miss in terms of the kind of like the injury he got. Now, the injury he got was in a Champions League game, which was the last game of the group game, which for a group they'd already qualified for in terms of Liverpool. So was that good game management from Klopp? Has that kind of impacted his season, the way they've gone? I'm not too sure. But for me, that was a bad decision. He shouldn't have played that game. He wouldn't have got injured. And I think Liverpool would have been in a better position now than they are currently. So, out of the two, I'm playing Foden. But if you look at the fixtures, I don't think there's much to weigh up or choose from. You can actually choose Jota if you want to. But I'm going to stick with Foden. I think he'll be a good shout. He'll bring a lot to the kind of game itself. And I think, with Foden, because of the number of games they've got coming in terms of, the League Cup final, FA Cup semi-finals, if they get to the final for that as well, Champions League games, Premier League games, there's going to be more risk of rotation. So he might get the chances in the Premier League games, whereas players like Sterling, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva might get rotated to be kept for those other games of the cup competition. But it'd be worth seeing. Let's see how it goes. And if I see Jota, coming along and bagging more points and getting into good form, there's no reason why I can't make an instant swap for Jota. But Jota, again, he's coming back from an injury. Yes, he's looked great in the Wolves game. He got man of the match. He got the goal against his old club. Looks all good. But, we need to see a bit more sample from him. If I'm looking at that kind of price range, maybe Jesse Lingard. He's done well. Got a few goals under his belt. I haven't discussed Lingard at all. But, yeah, Lingard's done really, really well in the last couple of game weeks. Had a good game against Arsenal. Unlucky, he could have got a few more returns if he had a bit of luck on his side. But yeah, I think Lingard's brought a lot to the table for West Ham as well. So these are kind of 3 players around that top kind of price range I'm looking. There's also Rafinha, who's also done well out of that squad as well. Souček around 5.5 mil as well, has done pretty well in that price bracket. So it's to be seen who will perform better. But out of Foden and Jota, for me at the moment, I would choose Phil Foden. Are you thinking of getting any Wolves players in the next week? Oh, so in terms of Wolves, they got some really good fixtures coming up. So let's go through some fixtures for Wolves. So for me, the first choice I'm looking at bringing in is Neto, owned by about 7% of managers, 5.7 mil, 5 goals and 7 assists this season. But look at this. After the Wolves game, they got Fulham, Sheffield, Burnley, West Brom, Brighton. That is a great run. I mean, if this was last season and there was Jimenez up front, I'd get Jimenez, Cody and Neto in for myself for at least the next 5 game weeks. But yeah, Jimenez is still recovering from his skull injury. Neto is someone I'd consider to be in the squad. There's no one else from midfield, potentially. I'd say Connor Cody, club captain, 4.8%, 85 points. Pretty solid, I reckon. There might be some clean sheets in here. Obviously, got the kind of like presence of getting a return from a goal or an assist. But then I've also got Patricia in goal. I know he had a horrific injury and he's had the international break to recover. But I think defensively against those fixtures, I think there's a few clean sheets out there for a grab. So maybe doubling up on Cody and Patricia might be the way forward. Is that something that I'm going to do? I'm not going to say yes to that just yet because I'm still kind of debating it and thinking, is it going to be worth doing? But watch out for this space. It's something that I may do. So it'll be worth me considering how they look in the next few game weeks, especially. It depends on injuries as well. If I get any injuries, I will look to take out someone and bring in potentially someone from Wolves into my squad, whether that's a midfield, goalkeeping, or a defender itself. Vardy or Iheanacho versus City. I think Vardy, I know he hasn't been that great. But Iheanacho is a bit of a differential risk. I mean, some people are getting captaincy for him. I think that's a bit too brave, personally, for me. But hey, hats off to you if you are, because you're being brave, you're being different, and that's the best way to get a return from your decisions. I mean, Vardy, for me, he's always going to kind of set the team up. He's going to have a kind of like a presence up front. And, he did really well against Man City at the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, could be the fact that, I have seen him, play with discomfort. He might still be injured from that hip kind of surgery he's had or that kind of niggle he's been carrying. So we can see how he performs there. But if I had to choose out Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy, I would definitely consider Jamie Vardy because of, overall what he's given for Leicester and how they have developed as a squad. But Iheanacho, what great form. Get him in, guys. I mean, maybe not for this week, but the week after. I think he'll be a good shout. Let's go through some of my predictions for this week as well. So Chelsea, West Brom, I reckon it'll be 2-0 Chelsea. Leeds, Sheffield. Probably 3-1 Leeds. Leicester, Man City, I reckon it'll be 1-1. Arsenal, Liverpool. That's a good one, that is. It's away as well for Liverpool. I think because of the break, I think I'll give it 1-1. I think Arsenal will hold on. Southampton, Burnley, I reckon it's going to be 2-1 Southampton. Newcastle, Spurs, 3-0 Spurs. Hopefully a hat-trick for Spurs, for Kane or Son, and Reguilon gets an assist. Aston Villa, Fulham, I reckon it'll be 2-1 Villa. Brighton United, I reckon it'll be 3-0 Manchester United. Everton, Crystal Palace. That's a good game. I reckon probably 2-1 Everton. Wolves, West Ham, I reckon that's going to be 1-1. So those are the fixtures kind of predictions I have. So that's kind of like the questions I had all from the deadline stream so far. This is my squad, guys. What are your thoughts? I mean, let me know in your comments what your thoughts are on my team selection. What kind of team selections do you have running? We are close now to the kind of announcement of the lineups for the first game of this week, which is only a couple of minutes away for the release of the lineup. So that's going to be in a couple of minutes at 11:30. So the game between Chelsea and West Brom. So this is my deadline stream video for you guys. This is my squad release, taken through your questions, answered your questions as well. I had a change of the layout, so let me know what you guys think of this new layout. Do you prefer it? Do you prefer the old layout? Let me know what you think. What do you think of this video? Like it if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to be part of this community channel and help me get to the 500 so I can win the PS5 by getting 500 subscribers by the end of the month. And if you want to get the latest notifications on my videos, feel free to hit the notifications icon as well. So that's my channel itself. Let me know how you guys do. You guys can also check out my social media pages, which is at the bottom: YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also join the FPL INKLING League, which is actually growing week in, week out. Every week we're getting more and more people joining. The code's at the bottom left. Join it. Let's have a good league. Let's be competitive, and let's start off something new. This is my new channel, and I'm looking to make it a success and hopefully carry it on through to the end of the season, and hopefully throughout the season from start to finish next year. So let me know how you guys found this video, guys. Hit the like button, leave some comments, and I will look forward to seeing you guys soon for the reaction stream and other game week FPL videos that I do, which would include captaincy, top 5 picks, and my team selection for game week 31 next week. Good luck in your game week 30. Make brave decisions. You've only got a couple of minutes left to get your teams submitted. So yeah, please get it in before the deadline, and best of luck for game week 30. Let me know how you guys get on and leave me feedback for this video. I'll see you guys soon. Best of luck.